So today we've got some big topics to cover in the world of MMA, starting off with Charles Oliveira's most recent call-out. We have got Ilia Topuria's new fighter nickname. We have got the ongoing beef between Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria. And finally, to round off the video, we have got the potential super fight in the heavyweight division being talking about once again. Let's start off with this right here. Charles Oliveira calls for a title fight against Islam Makhachev at UFC 317, which is the International Fight Week card. Oliveira goes on to say the UFC has a lot of guys who talk a big game. I can talk because I've been here for almost 15 years. I want to fight during International Fight Week. Makhachev too. UFC, let's make this happen. This is the fight everybody wants to see. Now, I am a Charles Oliveira fan. I don't know if this is a rogue take. Let me know in the comments below. I do not want to see the rematch between Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. I'm just going to be honest. There's other matchups that I would rather see in that division. You've got Islam versus Topuria. Dream fight for me. I don't know how many times I've said this on the channel. If I could make any fight ever, it would be Islam versus Ilia. I also think, or I'd rather see Arman Tsarukyan versus Islam Makhachev next. Now, I know Charles Oliveira is a big name. He's currently ranked number 2 in the UFC's lightweight division. And I know at UFC 309 when he had the rematch against Michael Chandler, for some fucking bizarre reason, the UFC made that matchup a number 1 contender fight. Which is actually laughable when you think of it. How is Michael Chandler in a number 1 contender fight? Anyone know? I don't know either. But there's a couple of reasons why. Like I said, I think there's other people that are more deserving. Arman Tsarukyan is definitely more deserving to fight for the belt. And another thing, Arman Tsarukyan is coming off a win over Charles Oliveira. So how then could you give Charles Oliveira the title fight over Arman Tsarukyan? It wouldn't make any logical sense at all. Also, he's coming off a win over number 7th ranked Michael Chandler, who's on a 2-fight losing streak. You know, it's not as if he's coming off a win over the number 3 ranked Justin Gaethje. You know what I mean? It's not as if he's coming off a fresh win over him or a fresh win over Max Holloway or anybody in the top 5. He's not coming off a win like that. He's coming off a win over Michael Chandler. Also, another reason why I don't want to see this fight is, what have you... And this is a genuine question. What has anybody seen in Charles Oliveira's game recently that would indicate that he has any more of a chance against Islam this time round? Because in their first fight, Islam Makhachev beat Oliveira up on the feet and beat him up on the ground and submitted him. So what is Oliveira's path to victory here? I'm not saying Oliveira can't beat Islam, but honestly, I think it's like an 80-20. An 80-20 in favour of Islam Makhachev. And I think even at that, I'm being favourable to Charles Oliveira. Islam Makhachev is a nightmare matchup for Charles Oliveira. Not only is he a dominant grappler, which this is a problem that Oliveira falls into, and it happened in the Arman Tsarukyan fight. Oliveira has really good jiu-jitsu, and he does do good work off his back, but when he's in there with elite level wrestlers that get him down, he spends too long working off his back instead of getting back to the feet or trying to get top position. He spends too long off his back, and that's what cost him in the Arman Tsarukyan fight. That's what cost him at UFC 300 in my opinion. Also, the problem with this is, Islam's a better striker than Charles Oliveira. People might say that's a hot take. It's not. Islam Makhachev is an amazing kickboxer. He beat Charles Oliveira up on the feet first time round, submitted him second time round, or submitted him as well in that matchup. So, what have you seen? Oliveira knocked out Beneil Dariush. Yes, that was a great win. I think Beneil Dariush is one of the most underrated lightweights we've seen in quite some time. He knocked out him. Great win. He then went on and lost to Arman Tsarukyan at UFC 300. A close fight. No shame in losing to Arman. The guy's the number 1 behind Islam Makhachev. No shame in that. It was a close matchup. Arman clearly won it, in my opinion. Some people might disagree with that in the comments below. A lot of people did say Oliveira won it. I don't see it personally, but again, that could be your opinion. I just think you're extremely wrong if you think Oliveira beat Arman at UFC 300. I'm just going to be honest. And then after that, he beat Michael Chandler. Now, he looked a lot more patient in there against Michael Chandler. But how did he beat Michael Chandler? He out-grappled him. He took him down, controlled him. There's no way in your heart that you believe Charles Oliveira this time round is going to out-grapple Islam, is going to take him down and control him for large parts of the fight. There's no way you believe that. There is just no way you believe that. honestly, it's not possible. Islam stylistically is a horrible matchup for Charles Oliveira. And there's other matchups that are better for Oliveira, and there's other matchups that are better for Islam Makhachev. I don't care if we don't see the rematch again. Now, don't get me wrong, when the rematch was announced, I was looking forward to it, but time has passed. Oliveira's lost in between times. You know, the rematch right now just doesn't really appeal to me, but you can let me know in the comments below. Let's move on. We have got this right here. Let's get right into the beef. Oliveira's featured on this video quite a lot here. Charles Oliveira has reacted to Ilia Topuria's disrespectful comments about him. He says, I've been in the UFC for 15 years. Do you want to trademark that line? You've said that in multiple interviews now, Oliveira. And I've never spoken poorly about anyone. I think Topuria was disrespectful with what he said. I just want to remind everyone that the toughest division is lightweight. I've been in it for years, so I have something to say. I know the firepower I have. I think Topuria needs to get into the division more calmly, more slowly, because there are a lot of tough guys who deserve respect. Right, starting off with the disrespect from Topuria. Yeah, he has been disrespectful. That is just kind of Ilia Topuria's game. I actually think Ilia Topuria isn't a disrespectful person. I think he is playing like a character, not like a Colby Covington-like character, but I think he is playing into this. I don't want to say like McGregor, but it kind of, he's not as good as McGregor on the mic and personality-wise, but he is kind of following the McGregor blueprint. Oliveira says he wants to remind everyone that the UFC lightweight division is the toughest. I would disagree right now. Personally, I think the UFC lightweight division is on track to becoming one of the worst. What I mean by that is it's the same rehashed matchups every single time. There's no real new blood coming into the division. Ilia Topuria is a bit of new blood coming into the division. That's why I think it's so exciting. You've got prospects that deserve to fight ranked opponents that aren't getting ranked opponents because the ranked opponents just want to rematch each other. It's slowly becoming a pretty shit division, in my opinion. And to say there's a lot of tough guys in the division, there is. I'm going to be honest. Call me an Ilia Glazer. I am. Ilia beats everybody in the UFC's lightweight division. That includes Islam Makhachev. There is nobody in the UFC's lightweight division that I would favour over Ilia Topuria as we speak right now. Not one. Not one. This is how these are the matchups that I think make sense. You do Oliveira Topuria. They've got a story building here. This is a perfect co-main event to International Fight Week. And you have to rebook Arman versus Islam. I don't understand why. I know we fucked up UFC 311. I get that. But the guy's the clear number one contender in the division. There really is nobody else. If you're not going to do Arman versus Islam, you have to do Ilia versus Islam. Those are the options that the UFC have. And then if you do Topuria versus Islam, and we know Islam's ducking Topuria anyway, bruh. If you do Ilia versus Islam, then you do Oliveira Arman too. I know I just complained about rehashed matchups, but that there is one that I think warrants a rematch, to be honest. Like I said, I thought Arman clearly won it, but it was close, if that makes sense. You know, it was a close matchup, but I thought Arman was clearly the winner. But Oliveira and Arman are both ranked 1 and 2, so I wouldn't mind seeing those guys over 5 rounds again. But this right here is the matchup to make. This is it. It's staring you right in the face. 5-round co-main event, International Fight Week, underneath Jones versus Aspinall if it happens. I'm trying to manifest it. I manifested Oliveira versus Topuria. You've got the story brewing here. Let's capitalize on this. Yeah. And Ilia knocks him out. Moving on, we have got Ilia Topuria's new name. This stinks, I'm going to be honest. Why change from the Matador to the Legend? He's not called Ilia the Legend Topuria. I think he's called Ilia La Leyenda. So, I can speak fluent Spanish clearly. Ilia La Leyenda Topuria. It's not it for me. Like, I would have just kept the Matador. But, I mean, fair play to Ilia Topuria. He's got a lot of people talking with this nickname. The guy is an absolute narcissist, which is what you need to reach the top of this sport, in my opinion. It's such a shit nickname. Oh, why did you do that? Why did you do that? He has such a good nickname, and he calls himself the Legend. And introducing the one and only Ilia, the Legend, Topuria. Now, Bruce Buffer, calm down. I'm not here to take your job right now. But you can see I can do a bit of announcing, so I might be on the cards to replace you. But yeah, this nickname is ass. This is awful. Right, and finally, let's talk about this potential heavyweight super fight. PFL owner Don Davis told John Jones he'd make 50 million to fight Francis Ngannou. I know one way John Jones earns 50 million. Fight Francis Ngannou to decide the true heavyweight champ and the real pound for pound number one. These guys are not anywhere near the pound for pound number one conversation. That would be the fight of the decade for MMA fans. Right, quick question. Number one, how do the PFL have this money? The Ngannou experiment, if you want to call it that, has been a complete flop. Ngannou's had one fight with them. It was a pay-per-view event that sold 10k. 10k, it had 10k buys. Fair play to Ngannou though. This guy's stole an absolute living off the PFL, and well earned for Ngannou. But yeah, who are the PFL's actual owners? Because how are they funding this event? Doesn't make much sense to me. And I don't know if it's just me. The ship's sealed for this fight, in my opinion. Like, I wanted to see this fight for such a long time. And recently now I'm just like, the ship it's sealed. Like, and how good is Ngannou now? Like, he beat Renan Ferreira. Are we going to get on that Renan Ferreira's like a top 5 UFC heavyweight? He might be. He could be. I think he could be in the top 10, definitely. But if Renan Ferreira was in the UFC, would we be talking about him being like, oh shit, this guy's like maybe like top 5 heavyweights right now in the world? Probably not, if we're going to be honest. The ship's sealed for this. The fight that everybody wants to see is John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. This fight would have been cool like a year ago, 2 years ago. Now the ship is sealed. Ngannou's not even active in any sport. He's not even active in boxing anymore. The guy's not been active. We've seen him against Renan Ferreira. I thought he looked pretty good in that matchup. But again, how good is Renan Ferreira? John Jones is doing anything but fighting Tom Aspinall. I would have liked this a while ago. Now I think the ship's sealed. The fight that everyone wants to see is John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. How are the PFL affording to fund this? Even suggest these numbers is beyond me. But yeah, that's just some things I wanted to cover today. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. And as always, thanks for the support. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you again in the next one.